Thanks for joining us. I see some of your videos popping open. If everyone doesn't mind, if you're comfortable having your video on, we'd love to see your faces and be able to connect with you. I know everyone's going to stay on mute for a little while. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We have a wonderful lineup of panelists for you today, and we want to just take the opportunity to introduce you to the school. I know many of you are familiar with our school, but some of you have never stepped foot on campus. And so in lieu of our normal tour and visits, we just want to bring some of our panelists, some of our current students and faculty and administrators to you, and give them a chance to tell you a little bit about what makes HPA so special and what brought them to HPA. So let me go ahead and start by introducing our head of school, Patrick Phillips, and he'll tell you a little bit about what he does here and why he's excited to have you join HPA.
Aloha, everyone, and thanks for joining us this afternoon to learn a little bit more about our middle school program. My name is Patrick Phillips, and I'm head of school here at HPA. In addition to being head of school, I'm also a parent. And just a couple of years ago, I was in your shoes. My wife and I were looking for that next school for our children. And we were moving with our three youngest kids, one moving into upper school, one into middle school, one into lower school. And when we encountered and discovered HPA, we knew our search was over. It was a place that struck us right away as being a place that really had a sense of community. There was a tremendous amount of school spirit, and it was a place we could tell where people really looked after each other and took care of each other, that sense of ohana that we talk about. And I could go on and tell you all kinds of wonderful stories and talk about that. I do have now, one of my children who came with us has graduated, another one has moved from middle school to upper school, and one has moved from lower school to middle school. So I have all kinds of stories about their experiences and their transitions, and I'd love to answer those questions for you later on at another time. Because on our call today, we have the people who you really need to hear from. Some of our current students, some of our current faculty, people who can tell you what life is like in the middle school right now. And I think when you hear from them, you'll be as excited as we were to join our community and to be here and be a part of HPA. Actually, I want to turn things over to someone who has a dual role like me. She works in our advancement office. She is also a rising middle school parent. Her son is moving from 5th grade into 6th grade next year. So Zaheva, if you'll introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your role and then also what's happening for you as you move into middle school as a parent.
Thanks, Patrick. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Zaheva Knowles, mother to Wyatt, a rising 6th grader, and director of alumni and parent giving here in the advancement office at HPA. From the work angle, I'm also wife to an alumnus, class of '94, Dave Knowles. In terms of our work here in the advancement office, we're really focused on growing philanthropic support for the school. Across all areas of interest for people. We work on stewardship and engagement, highlighting priorities and the impact that family giving has here at HPA. It plays a pivotal role in supporting the HPA experience overall. Every parent, we hope and ask, will participate in supporting the HPA fund each year. And then we're always happy to have further conversation about areas of interest as you get to know HPA and explore all of the amazing opportunities here. We also run alumni programs out of this office. So we're engaging with our sort of 6,000 large alumni community all over the world, telling their stories, trying to highlight the amazing things that they're doing once they leave HPA, and shining a light on that in as many ways as we can. Also always welcoming them back to talk to students, support the educational process here, and keep the network, the Kamakani network, strong, growing, vibrant. So you will hear from us from time to time. You'll also receive our alumni magazine, Makekula, twice a year, which tells some wonderful stories, I think, about what's happening here on campus and on both campuses and out there in the world with our alums. So And my son Wyatt is 5th grader, busy on capstones now, but really looking forward to 6th grade. I think it's such a cool time because there are all these new wonderful families joining our Ohana, and it really is another opportunity to sort of re-engage with a bigger group of friends and grow our family. So we're really excited. Welcome. Tiari, I'll turn this over to Tiari Police, alumna and mother of 3 Kamakani. So there she goes, Director of Admissions.
All right, thank you, Zaheva. Yes, aloha everyone, I'm Tiari Police. I am the Director of Admission, and I'm so excited to greet you all here today. Our ultimate joy is to work with you guys, our students, and your families, and just get you through this process and get you all the way here to the point where you've been accepted, you decide to come, and we can get you more information and just welcome you into our family. So we're very excited to be here and to have you, and for all of the things that are to come in the next weeks and months, all the way until you step foot on campus for your first day of school and orientation. So as Zaheva mentioned, I am a graduate of HPA. My father went to the school as well, and I've had 3 children, all of who went through middle school. My last daughter is graduating this year as a senior. So I am a mom first at HPA, and I can just say it's been such a joy and so enriching to watch the skills and confidence and just friendships and all of the positive things, even the hard days, and how it's helped my children grow as people. So we're excited to tell you more, and be sure you leave any questions you have in the chat along the way. You can always ask them in person at any time or at the end, but feel free to write it down in the chat and we'll be sure to cover that, okay? So I'll turn it back over to Ms. Jefferson.
Thanks, Tiari. Thanks for all those nice words. I too am a parent of 2 students here at HPA, one of whom is a senior and one is a sophomore. Both of them went through the middle school and lower school. And so we have some wonderful memories from all their experiences there. Every year, the program continues to evolve and new things are brought into it. So we do have some students that will be part of our panel a little bit later on today, and they'll share some of those experiences with you and what they've been doing this year. I'd like to move on to Mr. Glenn Chickering, who is our principal in the middle school, and he can tell you a little bit more about our program there and things that you have to look forward to. And he'll have one of our other faculty members join him during that presentation for part of it. So go ahead, Glenn, why don't you take it away?
Thanks so much, Jackie. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I made a little bit of a slideshow to give some visuals to some of the stuff I'll share with you. Okay. So as Jackie mentioned, I'm Glenn Chickering, and I've been in HPA for 2 years now. And after a number of years living internationally and teaching at an international school and being an administrator at an international school, we started to look toward coming back to the States to get closer to family as our daughter was growing up. And Hawaii wasn't originally on our radar, but HPA did pop up onto the radar. And once we found it, and once I came here and interviewed, like Patrick Phillips said, we kind of knew we found the right place, and we're really excited to be here. My wife teaches in the high school, and my daughter's in 4th grade, so a few more years till we get her up in middle school. Our middle school, just a big overview, we've got about 120 students. We've got 20 faculty with the specialists that we share with lower school, and we have class ranges next year will be between 14 and 18 students. A few of the electives may be smaller than that, but that's roughly how big each class will be. And then this is a graph that myself and our lower school principal worked on to really show what we're looking to connect everything. We want to, the sustainability plan, our Malama Kaya Ulu model, was really what attracted me about HPA. I have a background in educating for sustainability, and this plan was really, really well done with all community stakeholders. And it really got me excited about the school and the direction that we're headed. And then we, of course, have our core learning characteristics. We have our core values and our core learning skills. And so we're doing a lot of work to connect all these together and just understand that sustainability really starts with ourselves, and our relationship to ourselves will really lead to our better relationship with learning, better relationships with others, and of course to nature. So these are some big overall lenses for our middle school. And then I've always loved this quote from Sir Ken Robinson: "The gardener does not make a plant grow. The job of the gardener is to create optimal conditions for growth." And that's really what we're trying to do here at middle school, is create an environment where students feel they belong, students feel they can be themselves, students feel comfortable to take risks with their learning, and to really find their place in their communities and find a sense of purpose. And so we use that social emotional development, character development, as a real key component to middle school. As students go through young adolescence, it's really important for them to really know themselves and to really trust themselves. And that's what will set them up to be successful learners in high school and beyond, and middle school. And so we really lean on our integrity, respect, the pursuit of excellence, and wonder, our core values. One of the ways we do that is with a really strong advisory program. And this year we piloted a program that we're pretty excited about. It's called Project Wayfinder. And the intention of this program is to create a sense of belonging for students, to learn what's really meaningful for them and what they really care about in the world, and then how to act with purpose. And this really shines in our Capstone program as well, and really helps lead into it. We also bring social emotional lessons into our experiential frame, and I'll show you a little bit about our schedule later, so you'll see how that experiential frame works. Miss Beto, our counselor, comes into there for social emotional lessons. And Sunny, her sidekick, who I think calms me down many times when I need him. He's wonderful to have here. So our academic program, again, we're creating curious, independent learners. That's our goal. And we follow the most latest research on assessment, instruction, learning. We're looking to integrate as much as possible between our subjects. We're learning to be responsible citizens in our community, and we're really focused on the intellectual, the social, emotional, and the moral growth, and really focused on inquiry, learning to ask good questions. So here's an overview of the nuts and bolts of our curriculum and what students study in each grade. English is world literature, then American literature, and then literature and leadership. We do math foundations in 6th grade, pre-algebra in 7th, and algebra in 8th. And then our 6th graders take 1/2 year of Spanish and 1/2 year of Mandarin as an introduction to both, then decide what they would like to go forward with in 7th and 8th grade. Our arts in 6th grade, they'll do 1/2 year of performing arts, 1/2 year of visual arts, and then 7th and 8th grade, we have electives, and we'll get more into those in a little bit. Our science, we are looking to integrate our science program so that students do physical, life, and earth science in all 3 grades, and they progress upon each other. In social studies, we start with world cultures and geography, then US history in 7th grade, and a Hawaiian studies program in 8th grade. And then PE and health in 6th and 7th grade, the students are in the PE classes. In 8th grade, our capstone comes in, and we look to bring PE in our experiential. And then again, advisory has that Project Wayfinder program. It has clubs, and it has teacher office hours, which we'll go into in a bit. Okay, so electives. Our 7th and 8th graders get to choose their arts. And these are a sampling of some of the arts we offer. And we often introduce new ones as students express interest and as teachers bring in new passion projects. And then our experiential frame, and again, I'll show you on the schedule in just a moment, but in that frame, students will do garden classes, they'll do educational technology and digital citizenship, library science, social emotional learning. And theme week is a big part of our program. Every February, we take a full week out of classes and we get out and about and explore our island. And I put the islands in parentheses there because traditionally our theme week has gone to Oahu, sometimes to Maui, and gets out and about on the entire archipelago. This year with COVID, we had to kind of change our theme week, but we still got all over our island. And in all these pictures you see, except for the USS Arizona Memorial, were from this year's theme week, where we got snorkeling, horseback riding, sailing, hiking, swimming, and got out about quite a bit. And then our Capstone program, which is a real cornerstone of our 8th grade experience, and we're really working to lead all of our students, the 6th and 7th graders, up into it by developing those core skills throughout the years. And I'd love to turn it over here to Dagan Bernstein. Mr. Bernstein has been teaching in our Capstone program since its inception and has a real passion for it.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Dagan Bernstein, and it's a joy to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chickering. I'm a grade 8 teacher. I do teach mathematics in addition to Capstone, and I'm also a graduate of HPA. And now I can also add to my resume, I had the joy of teaching both of Jackie's kids in middle school, as well as one of Tiari's as well. So, and I'm gonna have Zaheva's son coming up. So again, it just shows how much ohana and community is really part of the HPA experience. So yes, I am one of the 3, sometimes 4 Capstone teachers we have. It is one of our signature programs here, because it's really the culminating academic and intellectual milestone at the middle school division. They also do one in 5th grade to culminate that division experience, and as well as 12th grade for their high school experience. And it's really centered around each student's personal passions, their interests, and how they can apply those to real world issues in their community. And right here on Hawaii Island, sometimes Waimea. Community can also be the larger world as a whole. So if you could go to the next slide there for me, Mr. Chickering. Thank you. And yes, you saw the core skills that we value here at HPA, and Capstone is really kind of the framework for those to really be put into action with critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And I hope we get the chance to hear from our current 8th graders right now about their Capstone experience and how, like I said, it's really kind of this area where they can explore these core skills independently and interdisciplinarily as well. You go to the next slide. So here's a couple pictures of some different Capstone projects we've had over the years. They're really varied. It could be a student exploring growing different vegetables in the garden. This student, Lauren Berger, actually worked with a local charity to donate vegetables to support their community meals. In the upper right there, you see students doing marine science exploration. We've had students do scientific research on reef fish or the impact of invasive species on our reefs. One of my favorite projects that I led were the ukulele building. You see 2 students there. They had the opportunity to each build their own ukulele and also explore music in the context of world cultures. And then you see also dance. And then that project there, I was speaking of interdisciplinary work. It involved science along with recycling and sustainability. A student figured out how to repurpose used glass for, kind of an upcycling project. So, and this is just a small sampling of the variety of Capstone projects that students have done. And again, they're driven by the student interest and passion. So it can be really anything from music to science to skateboarding to surfing and anything above, between, and beyond. And then I think I have one more slide there, Mr. Chickering. And then just a real quick breakdown of the Capstone process, which is led with an 8th grade Capstone teacher to take them through the proposal to learning about the content they're exploring, doing real hands-on academic research, building skills around videography or website design, and then creating their project that they finally get to present to a community audience, which we'll be doing later this month, which is a really exciting time. It's kind of a all hands on deck where our community comes together and gets to see these amazing projects that these 8th graders have spent all year working really hard to create. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bernstein. As he mentioned, some of our panelists we have on here today are doing some really incredible work with their capstones today. So hopefully you'll hear more about them. And then we also have Mr. Joe Ludis here with us today to talk a little bit more about learning support at middle school, where we're really focused on making sure every student gets what they need to stretch themselves as a learner and be successful as a learner. So I'd like to invite Joe to share a little bit more here.
All right, aloha everyone. As Mr. Chickering said, I'm here to support all of our learners here, and we do have an amazing, diverse learning community of students at HPA. We have students with all kinds of strengths and interests, and we try to create conditions where their strengths are really able to shine through, and Capstone is a great example of that. And just any kind of moment where they can build upon their strengths, but we also try to provide support for students in areas that are challenging for them. And one of the ways we do that is through our student support team, which is just an ongoing collaboration between myself, Mr. Chickering, Ms. Beto, our school counselor, all of our faculty in middle school, the students themselves, of course, and their families, where we have just regular constant communication to make sure that all of our students have the tools and the resources that they need to be successful, and that they feel supported, and that they just feel confident and excited about coming to school every day, and they're really seeing the growth in their learning and their own success. We also provide some school-based interventions and accommodations. Some of those interventions include things like regularly scheduled study halls, where I get to work face-to-face with students on sort of general study habits and just kind of creating good habits for learning. And then occasionally some unscheduled interventions where I might meet with a student one-on-one or a small group of students to just try to provide some extra support on a specific project or a specific type of learning that maybe they need some extra support with. And as far as accommodations, we just like to provide students with what they need to be successful. And so as long as students and their families communicate with us regularly, we often do provide things like extra time on assignments, or possibly maybe a student needs just a quiet place to take a test or things along those lines. And so part of my role here is to kind of identify some of those possible needs for students and just make sure that they're getting what they need. And then the last piece of my role here has to do with finding resources in the community and then maintaining good communication between those resources and HPA. So that could include therapies like speech and language therapy or occupational therapy, even physical therapy. And then Ms. Beto works with outside social emotional therapists to just make sure that if our students are receiving external support in the community, that we're able to kind of transfer the learning of what we're seeing in school with those supports, and then we can kind of build on that as a team. And that's my piece. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ludis. And I should add too, Joe started a successful program this year, our Friday study hall, where we're able to tap some students on the shoulder and say, hey, you're a little behind on this. Let's work on it during lunch on Fridays, and also open it up for any student who would like to use Friday study hall for studying. Okay, so here's a glimpse of our schedule with one caveat. We have been workshopping this since we had to change our schedule for this year due to COVID, and we're learning what we like this year in our schedule and what we had planned for our schedule, and we're melding them together. And we have, I think, one more iteration to go to with faculty, but this is basically it. There'll be a few maybe teeny things moving around, but classes will meet 3 times a week. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they meet for 60 minutes. And on Thursday and Friday, they'll meet for 70 minutes. You'll see on Friday mornings that yellow project Wayfinder is where we'll put that program into our advisory. And then you'll see at the end of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, students are in their advisories again. And on Monday, we'll do an assembly. On Tuesday, we'll do clubs, which can include any number of things. There will probably be a book club. We'll do student council there. There might be an art club. There are all sorts of possibilities in those clubs. And then you'll see on Wednesday and Friday right now, we have a study hall, and I should have wrote study hall / office hours, because this is a time for students to check in with any teacher they might need to check into, to ask a question about a class, get a little extra help with anything. And then that experiential block I had alluded to earlier is at the end of the day Thursday. So students will be perhaps garden during experiential 1 and social emotional and experiential 2, but we'll also introduce community connections in there. And we had a bunch planned for this year before the pandemic struck, but we were able to keep up one of our community connections with the Waimea Circle Park and the Waimea Trail across the road, where each week we have students in there doing work on the trails and in the park. And we'll keep that going and add a few more community partners for next year as the pandemic subsides, right? Fingers crossed. So technology and education, middle school is a big year for 6th graders. It's suddenly we're asking everybody to have their own computer. We have a bring your own device policy, but we're very, very intentional about using technology as a tool and not a crutch, and not relying on it, and making sure we're hitting all types of learners in all types of ways on and off the computer. But I thought it was important that we mention, because as I say, we do have a bring your own device policy, so students will need it to engage with their work. And here's just a quick overview. Basically, laptops are acceptable. Chromebooks are great. Anything that has that type of interface is fine. What unfortunately doesn't work well for engaging with My HPA and many of our other platforms are smartphones or tablets. We do have loaners available when needed, when things break down or it's not working right, so that's no problem, but it is important that each student has their own computer. More information on the bring your own device you can find on My HPA. You can always email me with questions at any time as well, and I can point you in the right direction. You don't need to memorize this now, but all that information is on My HPA. And then I mentioned that our community connections and experiential, these are some of the companies that organizations that we've connected with already and that we'll be connecting with again next year. And it's really going to be a big part of our program in that experiential of getting our students on our island engaged with the community. And again, through that Project Wayfinder program and through our Capstone program, we really help them to identify what they're passionate about and how they'd like to engage with their communities. And there you have a bird's eye view of the middle school program. And it'd be really easy to go detail overload with you, but we'll get into details as needed. And again, I'm always open for questions. Email me anytime. I'd be happy to chat. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Thanks. That was a lot of great information. I think it really gave people a sense of what it will be like to be a student here and to be a parent here. We did have one question come in. I wonder if you could just touch on what sports looks like for middle school students, either on or off campus in your view.
Sure. Sports is, well, we have our PE program and lots of great sports come through there. And we started this year something really fun. We'll keep going, some lunchtime tournaments, kickball, capture the flag, volleyball, those kind of things. We have an after school program as well. And before the pandemic, we were able to get basketball, volleyball, baseball, and then we had track, wrestling, and basketball set up for our 4th quarter. They got canceled from the pandemic. Next year, we'll look to pick those back up as well. Unfortunately, there are not middle school leagues for us to compete in sports with. So what we do is we connect our sports as much as possible to the community leagues here in Waimea. Last year, we were able to create a volleyball team from our middle school that competed in the youth community league. I see us being able to do that again next year. That'll be our goal with basketball as well. There are one-off track and field events on the island that we will look to create a team that can go to there as well. I am talking to the principals at Waimea Middle School and Parker School and Kanu School to see what we can do about getting us sharing a bit of an intramural league as well. So that's where we are with sports.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. Well, I want to move on. We'll get some of the other questions that are coming in, I think, answered along the way as some of our students begin to share their stories. So I wanted to kick things off on the student panel portion of this session with Sophia. Sophia is currently an 8th grader here at HPA, and maybe she can tell you a little bit about what she's been doing and when she started here as a student. You there, Sophia?
Hi. Yep, got it. Can you hear me all right? Is it good?
Yeah.
All right. So, hi, my name is Sophia. I'm currently an 8th grader going into freshman next year. And just, should I talk about my capstone? Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Is that okay? Okay. All right. So my capstone project was called Cleaning Out the Closet, and it is an LGBTQ plus support group for the middle school specifically, open to LGBT youth, their allies, both teacher and student. And its main goal is creating a safe and welcoming environment for LGBTQ youth, since middle school is a particularly tough time for people and young people who are LGBT struggling with mental health. In fact, their suicide rate is 3 times higher than their cisgendered and heterosexual peers. And since I went through that struggle with emotions and questioning if I was LGBTQ, I wanted to help project that and use that in a progressive, you could say, way to help people who I knew were going through the same stuff I was. So that's when I came up with the idea of group. And it currently meets on Wednesdays during lunch in the garden with Miss Narrow. She's super sweet and a big supporter. And it's going really well.
Awesome. Sophia, do you mind? That's amazing. I love that, you folks put so much thought into all of the projects that you've come up with and, pick things that are very meaningful to you. Tell us what the expectation is when you get to the end of the capstone period. What do you have to do as a conclusion to this capstone? What does it look like?
For sure. So the idea is at the end you have a product of sorts. In my case, it isn't really tangible, but it goes along with other things that I've created that you then present in this year. In this case, it's over Zoom to a community audience and showcase your progress and how you got to that point and how you created this end product that you now have. A little bit about that product to the community.
Awesome. What was the greatest challenge for you in your capstone process? I know sometimes people have trouble getting access to resources or interviews or things like that. What did you have to overcome? What was the greatest challenge for you?
For me, the greatest challenge was definitely reaching out to people. Not necessarily that there weren't a hefty amount of people who were willing to help and wanted to help me along this journey, but I was super anxious and super nervous and had really bad self-confidence and was so scared to put myself out there in a kind of vulnerable state where I was asking people for help because I tend to want to stay in my own lane and do my own thing. So definitely the hardest part was asking for help and recognizing when I needed help and reaching out to experts and professionals in the field who could help me along the way. And they really helped it just be a fluid experience. So I'm glad I could get over that and reach out to people. So that was definitely one of the best experiences I got from doing this project.
Awesome. And then slightly different category. We did have a question come in from a family about horseback riding. And I was wondering, since you were so gracious as to miss horseback riding to be here with us today, if you could tell us a little bit about horseback riding and your experience with that program.
Yeah, sure. I believe it is open to people who aren't in the school and people who are coming from other schools. And I'm not quite sure about the age ranges, so my bad. But I am 14 and there is classes that meet on Thursdays that I go to that start at 3:30 and end around 5. And it's usually it's from all ranges of levels, from very beginner to people who know how to jump and just jump on the horse and start going. And I fall right in the middle of that. And it leads to a very diverse platform in terms of horse related things. Like the other day, I was able to try polo for the first time because the polo instructor was down there and happened to overlap with our time on the field, and she was able to pull me aside and work with that. And I know my friends are really into the jumping aspect, and it really leads down a different avenues of horseback in particular. And I also noticed swimming. I'm sorry if I could take that too. I go to swim practice on the ASC team that functions out of the high school pool. I don't believe it is directly linked to the HPA. I believe the high school has their own separate team, but the ASC club is what I've been swimming in since I was in second grade, and it goes by different like levels, bronze, silver, gold, senior. And yeah, 4 days a week in the afternoons. It's it's open to people who are outside the school as well. And I believe it changes in the high school, but that's all I know.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophia. Yeah, it's been great watching you grow up in the swimming pool, and you will be able to join the high school team next year and do both if you want. Well, thank you so much. We're going to ask another one of your peers to share a little bit about their experience, and that is River. River, if you would please share with us a little bit about your time coming through HPA.
Sure. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is River. I'm an 8th grader, rising to 9th grade. I've been here since 3rd grade, which is a long time, but honestly, it really doesn't feel that long. Like, I just like, I don't know why, like, I always like think, oh, like, you're new. I know that feeling, like, but really, I've been here for like such a long time. We've had Sophia cover the capstone, so I figured I'd maybe talk about students here because I know one of our big things is like ohana and that feeling of ohana, and I've really felt that too. I think like we have like smaller classes than most schools, but I think that's what makes our school like really special because I've made like some of the best friends I've ever had at this school. Like we have a very like nice community, and nobody's like gonna like push you away. You're not gonna end up feeling left out. Like I know that for sure. Like I saw some of the new kids at the beginning of the year. Like I saw like nobody alone. You know, everybody was welcomed in. And I felt that too on my first day of school. And the teachers here are really great and supportive. In Capstone, I had like a really hard time because people hadn't been responding to me. So that was really hard on me. And my Capstone teacher, Miss Sterla, who's also the 8th grade English teacher, she was like really supportive of me. And something that's really important to remember about Capstone is it's not just about the product. Like, it is really cool if you can get something done, but if you're putting 100% of your effort into it and pursuing excellence is one of our values, then you're doing good. And I think the main thing is like the learning from it, you know, not necessarily the product, because, you know, part of the product is what you're learning. Like I've had like I said, struggles, but I think that's taught me something about myself, and I've gotten better at other skills such as like communication. So yeah.
River, what is your capstone project?
I'm working to reduce the stray cat population on our island by supporting a local nonprofit group who does that.
And when you mentioned that you had some struggles with trying to get people to support you or get back to you, are you talking about people in the community, or what was the...
Yeah, like groups who also like were helping to reduce the 8th grade the stray cat population. That I wasn't getting responses, and I think it was because of COVID mainly, and that was hard, but I did manage to have a product that I'm fairly proud of considering the hardships that I had to go through.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. And we look forward to your next capstone, which will be your senior year. So I know Ms. Police was just putting into the chat area that their capstone years are 5th grade, 8th grade, and 12th grade. So there's always opportunities to learn, like you said, and then to persevere and learn more when you do your capstone a few years later. So thanks for sharing, River. Appreciate you being here today. And let's move next to Catherine. Catherine is also a middle school student, and she can tell you a little bit about her experience.
Hi, so I'm Catherine, and for me it was a little different because I was coming midway through the year in 6th grade, so there was a lot of things kind of going on at the same time. I was coming from Dubai, so Dubai and Hawaii are very different places, but everybody, like River said, was so welcoming, and the teachers were great on like catching me up on what happened in the beginning of the year, and I definitely felt the ohana at HPA. The teachers, like I said, helped me catch up, and they also filled me in on the stuff I kind of missed because I missed 2 weeks at the beginning. And as I was transitioning from 6th grade to 7th grade, there was a little bit of a struggle regarding assignments that were missing, but everybody was really supportive and they definitely helped me through it. And I had a really low self-confidence. Capstone definitely played a big part in that. My capstone was on helping promote sustainability. So I made pamphlets that I distributed in the hotel, in Monolani Hotel, which is down near Kona. So capstone really taught me communication skills and helped me boost my self-confidence. And it was so cool seeing all my friends do their capstones and helping them with things they need. Yeah.
You know, I'll add to Catherine's communication skills. She also made a series of videos for our assemblies that were really well done, like professional grade videos. So her communication skills were excellent in a number of mediums.
Awesome. Catherine, how are you feeling about the final step, your presentation? Is that another exciting part of the capstone process?
It was definitely really scary at first, but we've done a couple of practice drafts with our peers and helped each other, kind of improved our practice. So now I'm definitely feeling more confident in my presentation and I'm good with that. So the teachers have given us like an outline and we follow the guidelines and they're all really supportive. They're like, don't worry about it. You're going to do great. So I'm definitely feeling better than I was at the beginning.
Nice. And tell us, is there anything that you're involved in outside of school? I know with COVID, it's been a little bit restricted and things are different this year, but are you involved in any activities or anything you do after school?
Yes, actually, I do horseback riding and tennis. And with the horseback riding, just to answer Sophie's question, it kind of ranges from all ages. Like I have a couple of friends that live up our street with an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. They both do horseback riding and it ranges from all levels, from just getting on a horse and jumping 2 9s. So the coaches are really nice and they have really great facilities. And regarding tennis, our coach again is amazing and he's great. And we have practices for the high school. I believe it's a little different, but the normal practices are Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. And then you could also go for Saturday tennis along with Fridays. That's optional.
Sounds like you're pretty active. All right. Well, thanks for sharing all of that. And if we have any questions from our guests today, we'll get back to you folks. Okay. And I think we have one more student panelist who's going to share with you today, and that is Miley.
Hi, my name is Miley, and I have been at HPA for 7 years. I came to HPA in kindergarten, and I went kindergarten, first grade, and then left to go to another school for second and third grade, and then came back in fourth, and I've been here from fourth to eighth. And HPA definitely has a very broad community of different different people that like to do different things, and I have made friends that I will never forget about, and they're so inclusive. Just the whole community at HPA is really inclusive. Everyone's friends with everyone, so it's not just like little friend groups. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone is friends with everyone. And not only friends, but teachers are super inclusive as well. They're not, I don't, me personally, I don't really look at my teacher as just, that person that tells us what to do. They're, a lot of our teachers, they make jokes with us. They make us feel involved in the lesson and not just like they're, like telling us what to do and not telling us what we need to learn. They're asking us if we feel like we need to learn anything more specifically. And yeah, so that's a great part of it about HPA. My capstone project was, I actually went through a few different project ideas and had to kind of like figure out what I really wanted to do and what was really a community need. And my final project is raising awareness of autism. And I made a video where I interviewed both my classmates and Mr. Ludas about asking about questions on what people think autism is, and then comparing them to Mr. Ludas, his answers. And I showed it at a movie night so I could kind of show people my video, and followed it by the movie Temple Grandin. And Capstone is it's a hard thing to do because you need to learn so many skills. You need to learn how to research properly. You need to learn how to communicate. But overall, I think that the biggest thing for me was kind of like Catherine said, to just be like confident in myself and know that I can do it. And our teachers, not only my specific capstone teacher, but also all of the capstone teachers that were helping the eighth graders, all chipped in and helped me a little bit throughout my whole progress. And another thing that I don't think anyone has really touched up on yet is doing like like saying stuff in front of people. So presenting our project throughout the mini stages. So like our project proposal and just like our research. So we do a lot of presentations throughout our stage so that builds up to our confidence for our final proposal, which is in front of so many more people, but we have the background and we know how to stay calm and we know how to talk fluently. And I think that was probably for me the biggest part of Capstone that helped me. Although the project is probably more, it's the bigger thing that you see, but what's behind it is all the like confidence that we need to build to be able to talk about a project and be able to just let people know about a project. And I do swimming with Sophia after school, and I also do volleyball, which is connected to the HPA middle school. And last year when I was in 7th grade, I did it, and we got to play against other schools. We got to play in the community, and we actually got to go to the championships for like our island, and that was really fun because we just built a great, like even more of a community, and we got to know each other even better because it's a mixed grades. And then this year we just recently started again, and it's a way bigger team. And it's nice that because of COVID, a lot of us coming into the school year were kind of like, doubting what we'd be able to do. But now that we've actually gone through the school year, my friends and I have actually talked recently about how grateful we are for the HPA community, for how we could be able to do all these little things like volleyball, theme week, all these little things that in a normal school year we'd be able to do, no worries. But because of COVID, it's taken so much more effort, and it really shows how much our faculty and how much our teachers care about how they want their students to succeed, and not only succeed, but have a good time learning.
Well, thanks so much, Miley. That was a lot of wonderful sharing. Hard to believe that I'm going to ask you a question after you shared so many neat things, but you are so busy, and all of you have shared that you have very full lives with school and other activities and things like that. Could you just maybe touch upon how you manage to balance it all? And I'm sure you get a little bit of homework too. So I know a lot of people wonder, like, how busy am I going to be? Because it sounds like you can be incredibly busy, but how do you like maintain a balanced life? Would you share that?
Yeah, so I definitely, my family's an athletic family. My parents did sports in college, and both my brothers do sports. I do a few sports, and that is a big part of my after school activities, but it's also that thought about you don't want it just to be school and then sports and homework. My friends and my teachers have done a lot to make sure that we get to actually have that like sense of being able to be social with our friends after school, even through COVID. Like sometimes we walk to town and that's fun to do after school, just hang out with our friends. Sometimes we even do some homework in town. And so I'd say for homework, it really depends on the day and what part you're in, what you're learning at the time. Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. Like I'd say on average, for me, it can totally range for anyone because people do homework at different speed and different, they might do some here and some there. I would say that it probably takes me about an hour on average to do my homework a day. And again, it depends on what day it is. But for me, I do school during the day and then I get home, I do some of my homework, and then I either go to volleyball or swim or both. And then I come back, and if I have any extra homework, I just do it then. So I think that HPA definitely helps me have a balanced school life, social, sports routine that I'm really grateful for, because I know that a few other schools, it's hard for people to be able to do all those different aspects in life.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Thanks so much, Miley. And thanks all of the students who participated and shared with us today. We're going to shift a little bit now, and we're going to have some of our parents share with you. So I think we'll start off with Carla. Carla, would you mind saying a few words as a parent of a middle school student?
Sorry, this way you can actually hear me. Okay, so I am a parent of not just one middle school student, but next year it will be two. I also help out with the middle school right now. And I'll tell you, it's been pretty exciting because I have three children of my own. And I've been around a lot of the different schools. I've been on island probably for about 20 years. And so with that, I've had opportunities to see several different schools. And once I started to substitute teach, that was even a better way to be more on the inside, public and private charter. I guess you could say school shopping in some ways. But I have a 7th grader currently, and her name's Maddie. And to watch her come from her elementary school, which was in Kohala, so we're kind of over the mountains and through the woods, so to speak, it's about a 30-minute drive to up to Waimea, where she is currently. It's been such a neat change to watch her go from 5th grade in Kohala to now being being that new student as of last year at Waimea, and having to really grow into a community, a new community amongst new peers, new teachers, new faces, all of that. And I cannot say enough about just the culture, the HPA culture, and being, often there's many new students in 6th grade because a lot of the schools are divided where they finish up their elementary school at 5th grade and then they move on to potentially a new building, or at least, a new group of students. And one thing we were really looking for her was the Ohana, right? I saw Stitch on a computer somewhere, I think, but was just the Ohana environment. And, from day one, I think, and I don't know, you incoming 6th graders, if your nerves are trying to figure out where your classes are, because I feel like that's something I hear a lot when I'm around 5th graders is, but how do you know where you're supposed to be? I think that's one of your top 5 concerns for every 5th grader. And the coolest part that my daughter actually asked me to share, because she couldn't be here, she was actually at futsal today, was to tell all of you to just relax, because HPA, those teachers have your back, and you can, I think her words were, chill out. And just relax, because you will find where you're going and everyone will support that. Everyone will be lost that first day, and everyone will help you find your direction, and not hold you to any time frames just to get to where you really need to be. So as far as just the love and support that HPA has, it's really neat. And not just from the faculty and the teachers. I'm talking very highly from the surrounding, all the students. I mean, one thing that I love to see is that I can bring my family to the beach, and you can see the boys and the girls bodyboarding, and everyone wants to play together. And there's not as much of, she can't play with him because he's a boy or whatnot. It's really neat, just that whole community. The girls and boys are friends. Everyone plays together. Everyone learns together. Everyone at HPA wants to learn. Their hands are in the air, and they want to not just learn what the teacher's presenting, they want to learn more. That curiosity is there and it's alive. And so, yeah, we couldn't be happier. She's confident. She loves going to school. In fact, I think the hardest weeks this year were the weeks that they had to be home for a little bit. It's wonderful seeing all these faces without masks, but the kids have been incredible wearing their masks day in and day out, as well as the faculty and everything too. And it's been a really neat, supportive community. And yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to have had you here as a substitute on campus, and then also have you as a parent of children at HPA. Thanks for sharing. And another parent we have joining us today is Mr. Tom Mitchell, who has two daughters at our school, and I'm sure he can say a few words about middle school experience as well. Give you a second to unmute, Tom.
Okay, thank you. We had a really varied educational upbringing with our daughters. We have two daughters, one in HPA as a sophomore in 10th grade, and one in 7th grade, actually friends with Maddie, who Carla was just talking about. We started out in Waldorf, in Kohala, a little school that my wife and I helped to start, kind of a offshoot of Waldorf. And it was very artsy, and the girls learned a lot about music and clay and playing in the dirt. And we loved it. It was fabulous. And then we kind of moved from there to Waimea Country School, which was sort of a hybrid between a regular school and a Waldorf experience. And although that was really lovely, and we had a tremendous experience there and have nothing but kind words to say about that school, we didn't feel that the girls were really getting a fully well-rounded education. So we applied to HPA, and truthfully, we were kind of afraid, oh man, with this experience we've had so far, kind of artsy and alternative and a lot of music, will they even want us? Will we qualify? And so I have to say, we were super excited. Our sophomore daughter started, I believe, in 5th grade. And we went through 1 year with her and left our other daughter at Waimea Country School. And after the first year at HPA, even though our daughter Kiana could have stayed at Waimea Country School for another 2 years, we applied for her to come to HPA also. I can't say enough about the support of the staff, the communication, and I mean this wholeheartedly, even though the communication is regular, like pretty much every day, I never feel bombarded by the communication that the school gives. It's, if I see an email from the school come through, it's one of the ones that I open up with, and I get about 150 to 200 emails a day. I open those up with kind of gladness that the school is communicating whatever it is, whether it's about grades or COVID or upcoming track meets or whatever. Our daughters, and I was an Olympic horse trainer at one point in the history of my life, and I never pushed our daughters into horses, but they both have taken to the equestrian program wholeheartedly, and to have the ability, especially through COVID, to allow them to be outside and spend time with the animals, it has been phenomenal. Actually, our older daughter, sophomore, through HPA, was invited to join the Dolphin Quest. It's not an intern, it's a kind of an academy scholarship program. And she was accepted into that. And we would have never even known about it if it hadn't been for HPA. So she's now kind of spending time both with horses, doing track. I have to say she does stay up kind of late because she's in some AP classes, doing homework. But between the horses and the dolphins and the track, we are so happy with the progress that she's made. I am available if anybody wants. I'm happy to share my cell phone number, which is 345-7100. If you have private questions you want to ask a parent, I promise to be totally transparent and tell you the truth. And share with you, I can't really think of any experiences that we've had where I'd say, well, you know what, that was a wee bit challenging. And the ones that, where I've had to maybe touch base with the accounting department or something about, what was that about, that charge? Because each child has their own school account. Everybody has handled everything with tremendous equanimity and great mindfulness and super abilities. So I can't say enough. I am, again, 345-7100. If you have any questions, I'm glad to chat with you.
Thanks so much, Tom.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I feel like it's an infomercial. No, thank you.
I did that too for a living, right?
Yeah, no, it's been wonderful watching your girls grow up through middle school, lower school, and now into the high school program too. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's remarkable. And we ask ourselves sometimes regularly, if we didn't live here, where would we live? And we're like, well, we're pretty certain we can't recreate this educational environment anywhere. So we're here until they're out of HPA.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing all of that. And then I wanted to just wrap up with our last panelist today, and that is Mele. And she's the parent of a current middle schooler and an incoming student, and also does some substitute teaching.
Yes, thank you, aloha everyone. I am Melanie Demille. I have a 7th grader for her first year here at HPA, and then Gianna, her younger sister, will be joining next year for 6th grade. And it was really fun to kind of sit here with her and watch the different presentations and everyone's comments, because she kept saying, oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's so cool. And it really is. It's the first thing I have to point out is the teachers are amazing. They have such passion for everything that they're teaching, such knowledge in it. They're creating these curriculums that are, they are challenging. They will push them to a higher level of thinking, but they're engaging and exciting. And my daughter today in 7th grade in science, they were learning about all of these different species of fish. And then today they went on a snorkel trip over there to go into the ocean and see these things that they're learning. And so they're taking the classroom and these aspects of learning into the area that we are. And it's really fun to see that. And it's great when she's coming home and telling us all about the different things that she's been learning about. She'll come home with all the different things in physical education, the different sports that they'll learn. And she's teaching the family all of this, these new sports, which is super exciting. But with all of that, there's also a big piece that the teachers care a lot about the students, and you can see that greatly. We getting a phone call from her English teacher to set up a Zoom time with my daughter so they can just talk more over the weekend on an English assignment. There's so much that you can see how much the teachers care really a lot about the students individually and helping them, not just with academics, but anything that comes up, that they're there. And we had lots of moments where I was talking with Joe right here as we've been talking about different things and support in my Naomi's education. And it's so grateful as a parent to have that in here. My background is Native Hawaiian, and so it's been really neat to see that included into the school and seeing them teach different things on the Hawaiian culture and the olis and the hulas that they are incorporating into the curriculum as well. But the last thing I want to talk about is something that many have already touched on, but it was the first thing that I noticed about this campus in this school. And again, I substitute teach. I've been substituting teaching for about 2.5 years. And I've been in the lower campus from kindergarten all the way to upper campus in the high school. And there is a common theme amongst the entire school. And that really is that Ohana feeling. And that is also just how nice and kind and that the students are with each other within that they are with the faculty, all come into a classroom, and when the students are leaving, they're saying, thank you, have a great day. And just that environment and that positive enlightening environment is just the best in creating such a successful learning environment amongst each other and with the teachers and with the whole feeling of Ohana. So we're excited. I'm really excited for this one to join in next year and all the things that she gets to experience too. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Millie. Yeah, we are all very grateful. We're grateful to have been in school this year in person, to have all these children on campus, and for the extra effort and work that our administration and our faculty has put in to make that all possible. It's not been an easy year by any stretch, but I feel like people are just living in gratitude at this point, and rolling with things as we must. But we are very grateful for all of you for sharing your stories and your anecdotes and being so authentic and honest in your experiences that you've had here at HPA. If anybody has any questions for any of our panelists, we have a couple of minutes. You're welcome to put them into the chat. Also, if you would like to, you can always connect with us offline if you have questions that you'd like to have answered more privately or they come to you later on. So we're all available to you. We will be sending out more information about things that you've heard about today. So if there's any other questions about that, just reach out to any of us. And yeah, does anybody else have anything they want to say in our panelists before we wrap up? All right.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being here today and for sharing and for spending your time to learn more with about our amazing school. Be sure to check us out on social media if you haven't already. That's a great way to find out more information about all the grades at HPA. We have our Upper School Olympics happening right now, which is super fun and something to look forward to in your future. And we are very happy to connect you, like Tom said, with current parents and just get you really dialed in with relationships. Sorry, that's my puppy. And making friends and just feeling really comfortable with your choice to join the HPA Ohana. So thanks to all of our students and faculty for being here today. Parents.
Yeah, I just want to share a mahalo as well. Great to meet everybody. Thanks for sharing, everybody. And never hesitate to reach out to me with questions at any time.
Yeah, same here. We're in the advancement office. You can reach out to me, zknowles@hpa.edu, if you have questions about our priorities and the impact of giving here at HPA. And you'll be hearing from us also.
Yes, and we'll be sending out many more pieces of communication to you in the coming weeks and months to orient you for the beginning of the school year. with important dates and information about our programs and your child's experience when they arrive here. And I think, Sophia, are you raising your hand, Sophia? No, just, okay.
I want to say one thing, because I know Mr. Chickering had in his presentation slides about the My HPA kind of dashboard, and everybody's going to be getting, you know, your own email and access to the HPA, what we call the resource board. And it's a place where everything's there and you can click on it and it has all the links and everything you need to know, you know, with regard to school supplies and schedules and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that to roll out probably, you know, starting later this month, early May. There'll be a hub, so to speak, for you to go there and really, you know, get dialed in with lots of information that I'm sure you're curious about. So just wanted to mention that.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. And thank you, Catherine, Maile, River, Sophia. I just loved listening to you guys share. And, you know, those are the stories that make HPA. It's the students. So for those who will be joining our Ohana next year, we might be inviting you to share to that next generation, because it's your experience and your stories that make HPA awesome. So I just enjoyed being part of this this afternoon.
All right. Well, with that, everybody, have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on your time zone. And we will be in touch with you all, and stay in touch with us. Aloha.